everybody, and welcome to the Football Philosophy channel. And this is about beating the low block and also playing against a high line, but mainly about beating the low block. It's about how to make goals and get chances against the low block, as they call it these days. In my day, they just used to call it playing with a deep defence, a deep lying defensive line. And the amount of assists that Bruno gets against the low block and how he gets his assists. A lot of people have seen me on the United stand and think that I've got something against Bruno. I haven't got anything against Bruno whatsoever, because I mentioned the fact that he tries too many risky passes. I do believe he does try too many risky passes, particularly against the low block. It's not really the way to try to beat the low block by trying balls over the top, or if you're in midfield, even sometimes trying to get the ball through the defenders. I've made a couple of diagrams to show exactly what I mean by that, and the difference between playing against a low block and playing against a high line. So is a team playing in a low block, I'll put 5 defenders, it could be 4 defenders, and a midfield player who's dropped in, as they often do. They'll end up at 2 or 3 yards outside the penalty area, and it's making themselves difficult to break down. Obviously, in real time, so to speak, there'd be 1 or 2 other midfield players dotted around there as well. But I've got 2 forwards up against them, and I've got a midfield player there who's going to be on the ball, or very shortly going to be on the ball, so to speak. So when he looks up, what has he got to look for? He can either hit the feet of one of these 2 strikers, or maybe he's got somebody outside that maybe on this flank that he could give the ball to. But if he wants to try and play a ball through the defenders or over the top, which I believe we do too often, this yellow area is the area that he's aiming at. That's all he's got to aim at. The blue area around if he's slightly over it, the keeper's going to get it. In some situations, some keepers will even beat you to it if it's in the yellow area. Obviously, if he's slightly over it and it's a little bit wide-ish in the green area, it's probably going to bounce out for a goal kick. On the odd occasion, they might get there and keep it in, but the defenders will turn and be on them. They won't have a goal-scoring chance. They may be able to get it back across the box, but you're not really going to create a goal by getting it into that green area. I imagine 8 or 9 times out of 10, it'll just go out for a goal kick. The brown area, you're not going to... The trajectory of the ball, when you play a ball over the top, you cannot get... like taking a free kick. They always say you get it up over the wall and get it down again. You're not going to be able to get the ball over these defenders and down again so that it pitches in the brown area. The forwards who are going to run forward, they're going to try and get to the pitch of the ball, or even try a header at goal if the ball's further up. The ball's not going to get bounce in this brown area. It's going to travel further than that once you've got it over the defenders. And realistically, that little yellow area is your target area. That's what makes it so difficult beating the low block with a ball over the top. Now, you could occasionally get the ball through the defenders, but again, the problem you've got with that is your midfield player is generally 10 or 15 yards away from these defenders, and the spaces are quite small, so you're not going to really get it through the defenders along the ground. I mean, the best way to play football is to keep the ball on the floor. I'm absolutely certain of that. So if you can play the ball to one of the forwards' feet, the forward might be able to slip it through between the defenders for the other forward to run onto. If you try and get it through the defenders, it's pretty rare from that distance that you're going to get it through. It's the exact same principle as having a shot at goal. If you have a shot at goal from 6 yards, you're highly likely to score. If you have a shot at goal from 20 yards, you're much less likely to score. So trying to get the ball through the defenders from here is extremely difficult. And if you try it over the top, you've got such a small target area, and even then you're relying on so many things working for you. It's not an easy ball for a striker to actually get hold of either, as it drops over his shoulder and trying to get it. So it's not, in my opinion, risky passes from there are not the type of passes we should be playing. Now then, if a team are pressing you and they've ended up with their defenders on the halfway line, which sometimes happens, the commentators will say that's playing with a high line. When they play with a high line, there's a lot of space in between. So it's a completely different situation when playing with a high line. They've got a high line there. there's the midfield player. If he gets the ball, if he gets a chance to look up, sometimes his players on you can't even look up. But if he gets the ball and looks up, he's got all this space to aim at. Maybe even a touch more if the keeper isn't on the edge of his box. Keepers will come out of the box, obviously, and try to clean up. But they won't come this far out, or very rarely. So you can get a ball. If you can get it through along the floor, better still. But in this situation, it not only is it worth trying the ball over the top, but you should be trying the ball over the top. What we're talking about here is risky passes. In this situation, unlikely to work. All you're going to do is give the ball away. In this situation, the risk and reward here is balanced more in favour of the reward, because it isn't so risky. You're not, any player worth his salt has got to be able to, if there's, as I say, if the space is big enough, through the defenders along the floor. If the space isn't big enough, it's an easy ball. It's not difficult at all. Any player should be able to just clip that ball over these defenders and into this space. And it's a big target area. Not only is it a big target area, but it's got time to bounce once or twice. The players running onto it, they don't need to meet it at the pitch of the ball. In this situation, they really do need, if they're in that yellow area, that tiny area of success, if you like, they've got to meet the ball. If it bounces, it's likely that the keeper's going to be on it. You've got to meet it on the full, or you've got to actually meet it as it pitches. In this situation, you don't even have to meet it as it pitches. It's a much easier pass to play. It could even bounce twice before the forwards who are running onto it and they threw on goal, and it's an easier ball for them to control. And as I say, they threw on the goal. So not only is that not a risky pass, it's a pass that you should be trying to play. So I'm going to be explaining, I've used that as an explanation. That applies to any player. Any player shouldn't be trying those balls over the top when it's against a low block, but when it's against a high line, it's a pass that you should be trying. So it's a completely different situation. So if we have a look, I'm going to put all these clips on Twitter of all Bruno's assists so far, because a lot of people say to me, he's got to keep trying these risky passes. Look at how many assists he's got. So here's a quick look at the assists that he's got so far. His first assist was against Watford for Mason Greenwood. It was a breakaway. Greenwood played it to Bruno on the right, sort of coming in from the right wing or running up the right wing. And Bruno played a lovely pass back to Greenwood, beautifully weighted pass. Greenwood took a touch and smashed it in the roof of the net. But it was about a 15-yard pass. It was along the floor. It was a pass that he had to make. It wasn't a risky pass, and it was a great goal by Mason Greenwood. Then against Bournemouth, his second assist was for Mason Greenwood. This time, Bruno receives the ball in like an inside right position, maybe, 5 or 6 yards outside the penalty area, turns in field and sees Greenwood. When he sees Greenwood, he has to play that ball to Greenwood. So I've put the video up of the goal, but I've also put the still up of this goal. The still will show you what Bruno can see as he turns, and you can see that he has to make that pass. Anthony Martial's in the box, but tightly marked, as well as having a player between Bruno and Martial, and Greenwood's in space. The space soon gets closed up, fair enough, but that happens in Premier League football. But when Bruno sees him, he's in space. It's a pass that he has to make. Again, it's probably a bit more than 15 yards. It might be as much as 20 yards. But it's a straightforward pass along the floor to Mason Greenwood's feet. It's a great pass, but it's a pass that he has to make, and it is not a risky pass. A goal for Anthony Martial against Bournemouth. This time it's a diagonal ball towards Martial, who's on the left wing, and Bruno plays about a 20-yard pass, beautifully weighted. Martial gets onto it, dribbles it in field, and smashes it into the roof of the net. That's Bruno's third assist. Again, it's a simple pass. It's a beautiful pass. It's well weighted. I'm not saying these are not This is not a criticism. This is how you want to play. This is how you want your players playing. You want your players seeing these simple passes and not trying the risky, more difficult passes. So it's a simple pass. He executes it perfectly, and Marshall gets hold of the ball and scores a fantastic goal. That's the third assist. The fourth assist is fairly similar. It's against Southampton. It's for Anthony Marshall. Again, it's a diagonal ball. This time, I think it's a little bit longer, this pass. Bruno picks the ball up in the centre circle and just passes it, helps it on straight away to Anthony Marshall because he's in space. Again, there's no defenders between Bruno and Martial. It doesn't have to come off the floor. This is his fourth assist. Like I say, you need to be playing the ball along the floor as often as you can. So this is his fourth assist, and it's the fourth pass where there's no defenders blocking the route. It doesn't have to go in the air, and it goes straight along the grass, straight to the player's feet. And that's the fourth one. That's Anthony Marshall against Southampton. All these clips will be on Twitter on Rick the Red UK later this evening. His fifth assist last season. I've just got to add, by the way, we're only talking about open play. We're not talking about goals from corners or free kicks or any dead ball situation. Dead ball situations, they work on them in training. They're all on the same wavelength. They know what they're doing, and you can try anything. Whatever you've decided to try in training that you've worked on, doesn't matter whether it's a high ball, a low ball, whatever it might be. You've tried it, you've worked on it, you can try it. So it's got a great repertoire of free kicks, by the way. I remember the goal against City that Anthony Marshall scored. It was absolutely brilliant. They've tried one or two other tricky ones as well. They even tried one, a lot of people won't have noticed it, but they even tried one against Everton at Goodison at the weekend that they clearly worked on in training, and it didn't come off. So he's got a great repertoire of free kicks and corners, which is brilliant. But we're not talking about free kicks and corners, we're talking about open play. So this is his fifth assist in open play. This is Crystal Palace away. Again, it's a beautiful move, loads of credit due to Bruno. Like I say, he's absolutely brilliant for us, no problem with that. I'd just like him to simplify his game when we're playing against a low block and he's got the ball in their half of the field. So the goal against Palace, he gets hold of it, gives it to Anthony Marshall, runs into space, gets it straight back from Marshall, sees Rashford free on the edge of the box. Again, it's along the grass, the pass. It's only 6 yards or 7 yards, straight to Marcus Rashford's feet. That's how to play the game. Rashford turns, beats a man, scores a brilliant goal. So that was Bruno's fifth assist last season. So last season, he had 5 assists in the Premier League. We were in the Europa League last season. I've not covered the Europa League. I'm not sure if he got any assists. I don't think he did, actually. I might be wrong. But certainly from open play in the league, those are his 5 assists. They're all passes along the ground. None of them are risky passes. That was what got us into the Champions League. Some people say to me that risky passes got us into the Champions League. Not a bit of it. You know, it was all simple football that worked for us, not the risky passes. So that brings us to this season. This season in the league, I'll just jump ahead because I want to talk about a little bit more about 2 of the passes. They're slightly different, but he got an assist at weekend. He gets lots of assists. It's brilliant the amount of assists he gets. His assist for Cavani was a fantastic assist. He run the ball probably, I don't know, more than half the length of the field. From our own half all the way to the edge of Everton's penalty area, all the time being aware of the players that are around him, being aware that he's going to eventually draw the Everton players towards him. Also, great credit to him. He'd already scored twice. He was on a hat-trick, so he could have had a shot himself when he got to the edge of the box, but he always knew Cavani was there. Whether it was in his mind that he wanted to get Cavani a goal, I'd love to think he was thinking that when he's got a teammate who's a striker who's not yet scored for the club. But it was a superb piece of play, make no mistake, absolutely brilliant. But still, at the end of the day, the final pass is a 6-yard pass along the grass with no defenders between Bruno and the recipient of the pass. So, brilliant run, absolutely fantastic. But it's about the final pass, and the final pass is not a risky pass. So that's 6 assists in the league without a risky pass. Now, I've had somebody say to me on Twitter that his assists for Marcus against Brighton and against Newcastle are long, risky passes. I don't agree. I've explained this. This applies to any player. If the opposition have got a high line and you hear commentators say, look at all the space in behind. When there's space in behind, if you get the ball in a situation like this and you've got a pacey forward or two, you have to try to play this ball. So this does not count as a risky pass. In this situation, it's a really difficult pass, and the likely outcome is that the opposition just get the ball. In this situation, you've got a much bigger target area. The target area is the yellow area there when you're trying to get the ball through, and the target area here is the green area. So not only is it great if you can get the ball through the defenders and along the floor if there's enough space, and occasionally there is, not very often, but occasionally there is. But if you can't get it through along the floor, in this situation, it is allowable to try the ball over the top. This is where you should be trying. Not only should, but you must. If you've got pacey forwards and these players are going to be right up on the halfway line like this, you've got to hit the ball into that area. It's an easy target for you. It's a ball that you should be able to pull off. And also, unlike when it's just dropping in the box and it's a tight area, the player who's going to run forward onto it is running into space, and the ball could even bounce. It could even bounce twice. You don't have to actually meet it where it pitches, which would be the case in the penalty area. If that ball pitches in that penalty area and you're not there where it pitches, it's very, very unlikely that you're going to get a second chance at getting it. Here, there's even a possibility that it could bounce twice as you before you touch it. So you can get that ball over the top. It's much easier for the forwards, and it's easier for you. It's an easy ball to play. So, explain that at the start of the show. That applies to any player. Now, the goals against Newcastle and against Brighton. The goal against Brighton for Marcus, I've put the video up. You can see the video. They're playing a high line. They're right up on the halfway line. I've actually put a still photograph up as well, so that you can see at the moment that Bruno releases the ball against Brighton. When you look at the still photograph against Brighton, look at the video, but the still photograph there as well. All the players from Brighton are all in United's half. Marcus is in United's half. He's got the whole of the half to aim at. He's got to play that ball. So in this situation, despite the fact that it's a longer ball and it comes off the ground a little bit, or it might come off the ground a lot, I just can't quite remember exactly, but it comes off the ground, doesn't matter. It's an easy ball to play. There's lots of space to aim at. It's not a difficult pass. And with all that space in behind and a pacey forward, you have to play that ball. So this does not count as a risky pass. It's a ball that you must attempt. He executes it perfectly. Credit to him for getting it right. You should get it right though, to be fair. And it is a good pass, but it's a pass that you must be trying. Whenever you get in that situation with such a high line, you've got to try and get the ball into that space behind the defensive line. It's an easy ball to play. Similarly against Newcastle. Against Newcastle, I've not even put the video up. I've just put a still photograph up. You can see as Bruno releases the ball, you can see that the one player is really tight, by the way. I didn't realise how tight it was. I don't even remember VAR looking at it. But it's really tight, but there's a player playing him on side. The other defenders, I'm not sure you can see it in the photo, the other defenders are up on the halfway line. He's just a bit worried about Marcus. If he'd have just stepped up, it would have been offside. But there's a defender going back with Marcus. He's only 5 yards into Newcastle's half. Again, you can see how close. When you see the game, when you're watching the game live, you probably think it's quite a long pass. It isn't that long a pass. Neither is the one against Brighton. It's probably 20 odd yards. It's not like 50-yard passes as people sometimes think, but it's a pass that you have to try. The space is in behind. You've got a pacey forward, and you've got to drop that ball in there. Without any doubt, you've got to try it. So that does not count as a risky pass. Somebody said to me the other night when I was on the United Stand show. Can't remember who said it to me, but somebody said, I think it was Kevin, he said that he has got 2 assists with long passes. I can't remember if the word risky was used, and these are slightly longer passes. Not much, but they are slightly longer, but they are passes into that space where you must try it. So there's no, even if it doesn't come off, you would not be getting, you'd be probably getting, it isn't a difficult pass. You would be getting criticised if you didn't get it right, but you'd be getting criticised even more if you didn't even try it. You know, your striker who's going to be chasing that ball would be giving you murders if you turn to run and you didn't play it into the space when there's all that space there for him to run into. Against Leipzig, he got an assist for Marcus again. On this occasion, Upamecano had come out and was pressing, was about to press Bruno, but Bruno passed the ball before he could get to him. Because Upamecano had come out to him, it left a big gap between the other two defenders. Once that ball goes past Upamecano, there's a gap that you could get the QE2 through. And again, the ball's along the floor, it just goes straight through in front of Marcus. He executes it brilliantly. I mean, obviously Upamecano might have cut it out on another day, but once it gets past Upamecano, it's along the floor, it's right between, in a massive gap, and Marcus has got to score in the end. So he's got 3 assists from longer balls from his own half this season, but they're all passes that you've got to attempt. When there's all that space in behind, the defenders are on the halfway line, you've got to try and get it through. So when it comes to risky passes, I don't think we have yet got an assist. I said this on the show the other night. I don't think we've got an assist yet from a risky pass. So we need to simplify our game. We'll get even more goals. The amount of assists Bruno's getting is fantastic. If he passes it more simply more often, I mean, I don't know how many risky passes he tries into that final third per game. I'm sure it's more than one a game. He's probably tried it 30 odd times now. If he's tried it 30 odd times, we haven't got one assist from it. If he'd have passed it more simply on all those occasions, we probably would have got 2 or 3 goals out of the other 30 simple passes. It might not be from that exact pass, but if you keep it simple, somebody else passes it simple, it can lead to goals. So you need to keep the ball, keep it simple, and if it's another, I don't know, eventually probably one will come off, but if one comes off when he's tried it another 30 times, is it really worth the balance of like all the times that it hasn't worked? If it's another 30 odd passes, it'd be 60 odd passes before one's worked. If it had just kept it simple on all the other occasions, I believe more goals would have been in the bank for United. I'm also going to put a clip up of the goal by Demba Ba the other night. When you talk about spacing behind, on that occasion, United had pushed out defenders, were all in the opposition's penalty area. Matic was about 20 yards outside the penalty area, but it's the same theory, the same principles. If you look at the player who passes the ball to Demba Ba, I've paused it at the beginning of this shot, and he's actually in his own penalty area, the player who passes that ball. So he gets an assist from his own penalty area. That's unusual. I can't think of one off the top of my head. I know I've seen keepers do it with just a long punt up the field, and occasionally it goes straight through to somebody. But for an actual player, an outfield player, to get an assist from his own penalty area, I can't think. I'm sure there will be 1 or 2 out there, but I can't think of one. But it's the same principle. It's an easy ball to play. This ball is even easier for him to play because the defenders are all up. All he's got to do is kick the ball over the midfield players, and he's got an even bigger area to aim at. So it's a really, really easy ball. These balls that are being played when the defenders are on the halfway line are relatively easier. The further the players are up the pitch, the easier it is. So this player for Besiktas here ends up with an assist from his own penalty area because the players are so far up. It's such an easy ball to play. So it's the same principle, but this was even easier. So that's that. I hope you grasp something from that. Anybody who's watched it through. I also hope you don't think that this is all about Bruno. About me saying Bruno's not my cup of tea or anything like that. He's just, like I've just said, his assists numbers are fantastic. His goal numbers are fantastic. His work rate, absolutely fantastic. we've got an absolute gem of a footballer on our hands there, an absolute gem. I honestly believe it will be even better, and when I say even better, I mean by quite a way. It'll be even better if he stops trying to beat the low block, as they call it these days, with balls over the top. If you try and beat the low block with balls over the top, your percentage success rate will be extremely low. At the moment, I would suggest it's 0%. 0%. So, you know, however many more times he tries it before it comes off, I don't know. So that's that. He'll become an absolutely unbelievable footballer if he simplifies his game. Absolutely. He's already a top player, but he will become a world beater if he simplifies his game. I hope you've enjoyed that show. If you did, don't forget to subscribe. Please tell all your friends about it. If you didn't enjoy it, keep stum. Don't tell anyone.